Hey guys, I wanted to make a quick video just to show the operation of the Super Star Trek application for this Smart Response XE. Um, I apologize. It's super hard to get an LCD to film because you got to be right on top of it, and then you see all the reflections from stuff. So really, this is just to give you a sense of how to play this game and what kind of functionality I use with the Smart Response. So you start off and it gives you some good introduction text, tells you how many Klingons you have to kill. If people are familiar with the original version that was designed back in the 70s, this follows it pretty closely. I made a couple additions and I got rid of some stuff, and I had to modify things because the screen just isn't as big. So I just started a game and already I'm in a sector that has Klingons. So Spock tells me that, I'm condition red. So you can see these soft buttons on the side are going to control most of the action. And then the number buttons are going to be where you add any information, like if you want to change shield energy or you want to attack and things like that. So yeah, the shields are dangerously low because I haven't put them up yet. So here's a typical layout. The bands on the side will correspond to these buttons, and they'll give you the different functionality that you can have. In this case, we'll raise the shields, which is right down there. So we'll bring the shields up to 300. And what the shields do is as you're attacked, the energy is absorbed by the shields and your energy will go down. And if you run out of shield energy, the energy reserve you have will go down twice as much and you'll always take damage. So you want to keep the shields up. So you want to pay attention to that. So you can see the short range scan, the whole galaxy is made up of an 8x8 grid of quadrants. And each quadrant is an 8x8 grid of this sector. So I have one Klingon. You can see he's the K down in the corner, and I'm the Enterprise, the E in the center. The dots are nothing, and the asterisks are stars. Stars come into play because you can't travel through them and you can't shoot through them. So sometimes a Klingon will be protected by a star. You have to move to the side in order to shoot him. So we have a couple options. We can phase this Klingon, hit him with phasers, or we can shoot a torpedo at him. Now he happens to be at a perfect 135 degrees. He's right along the diagonal. Let's say you didn't know that, though. Let's say he was off on some strange tangent. You can go to the computer, which is right there, and you've got a couple options. One, you can look at the Galactic Chart. Two, you can get a status of where you're at right now, since really the display is limited. A lot of times during the other game, if you played in BASIC or Fortran or something, the sector map would also give you status next to it, but we just can't fit it in. So you can get status there. You can, if you have a star base in your sector, you can get the direction and distance. And we're going to use the targeting computer to find out exactly where that Klingon is. So like we said, he's at 135. So if we go back, well, let's shoot a torpedo at him. So I'm going to enter 135. So if you go too much, there's the little backspace here you can hit and get you back. 135, enter, get a little animation, and then, okay, he was damaged and he fires back. So only the strongest Klingons can survive a torpedo attack. Normally that will destroy your Klingon. But when they're generated, they're somewhere between 100 and 250 units of energy. And a torpedo takes out 200. So this guy must have been one of the big ones. So he's going to shoot back. So you can see he attacks. He's knocked down our shields by 58 units. And they're holding. So notice he's still there. So we can shoot another torpedo at him, but let's use the phasers just to see how that works. This tells you exactly how much energy you have to use on your phasers. And we'll, knowing that he was probably berthed at 250, the torpedo took 200 out of him. Let's do 60 just to make sure. And he took 40 units. So one of the neat things is with a phaser, if the Klingon is pretty far away, it actually reduces the efficiency. So you notice he's still there, but he's going to be really weak now. So let's phase him one more time instead of using our torpedo. Probably only need about 40 units, even though we're far away. And boom, there, he was destroyed. So no more left in this sector. So a couple of things you can go back to that computer and we can look at the galactic chart. The galactic chart is made up of some codes. You can see the little numbers on the top and the side give you the sector grid. The X shows you where you're at. Any number shows you that there's Klingons. So if there's two Klingons in that sector. You can only, the long range scan only scans the sectors right around you. So if you haven't visited an area, you'll see the asterisks there. And the asterisks are telling you that, this hasn't been uncovered yet. If there's a base, the only other thing you really need to know, then the field will show up inverse. So if there's one Klingon, you'll see a black background and a white one instead of a black one with a white background. So an inverse field tells you that there's also a base in that sector. So let's move really quick. Let's go back to our short range scanner. And let's just go off to the east. So to navigate, you hit navigation. It asks for a course. East is 90 degrees. There was nothing in the way, so I can go. And let's go over 2 units. So the way this marks space is all the way across a sector, those 8 steps is 1 unit. So this should move me to the exact same point within the sector, but 2 sectors away. So we enter that, and boom, there's some kind of Klingon there already. Oh, there's a couple. All right. So now if we look at our galactic chart, you'll see we've moved over, so it's expanded what we can see in the galaxy. You'll see where the X, there's another Klingon up to the northeast of me, up to that sector. And from the short range scanner, I know that there's 2 located where I am. So let's hit them with phasers. When you use phasers on multiple guys, it's going to divide the amount of energy you use. So I'm going to use 400 units. So I destroyed the first Klingon, destroyed the second one. So they were fairly weak. So that's good. So long range scan essentially shows you the center is you, and then this shows you the quadrants that are directly around you. So you can see off to the west, I have this number 103. The first number is how many Klingons are in that sector. The second is if there's a base or not. A 1 will show up. And then the third is how many stars are in the quadrant. So let's go over that way. We'll go 270, that's west. And we need to go 1 sector. So again, condition red, we knew there was a guy there and he's right next to us. So let's hit him with the torpedo. And hopefully he's weak enough. No, another strong Klingon. All right. So they're starting to rack my shield down pretty low. I got to watch that. But he's close. So if I go phasers, this time, if I go 60 units, it should really destroy him. Yeah. All right. So like I said, a couple other things. The computer will give you status report. This will tell you how many star dates you have left. I've got 42 star dates left in order to kill 20 more Klingons. There are, it's so hard to read. What are the 8 torpedoes left? 6 torpedoes, whatever I have. It gives you the total amount of energy and how many you still have on your shields. And then when you're done there. So that's how you'll navigate around. So one of the things I've added to make sure that this isn't too easy for people and they get bored with it really quick. If you go into options, it's going to give you 2 things. One, you can quit the game from here. The other, it says set levels. And there's a couple things that'll let you do. Whenever you attack a Klingon, if you don't destroy him, he attacks back. So the damage that you could incur based on a couple different times, like a second Klingon in the area might not fire, but if you have a higher odds set, then he probably will. Same thing if you go look at the computer screen and you go to the targeting computer, there's a chance that while you're doing the targeting computer calculations, the Klingon can shoot at you. So this first thing, the damage from the Klingon, from an attack, right now, if a Klingon attacks you and you have your shields up, the damage is pretty low. It's 2 in 10. So that's what that 2 means. It's the default. there's a 2 in 10 chance of you sustaining damage, even though your shields are still up. If your shields are down, you will always sustain damage from attacks. But if your shields are up, there's still a possibility. So what you may want to do is, if you're having too easy a time, boost this to 4. So almost half the time, you're going to sustain some kind of damage. And the game is a lot harder to play when like your computer goes out or your short range navigation goes out. If short range nav goes out and your computer go out, you really only have phasers. And then you have to find out from long range scan that there's even a Klingon in your sector. And you just got to hope the phaser's enough. So it can get pretty complicated. So that's one way to make it harder. And also the boundaries. If you get to the boundary of the galaxy and you actually navigate outside of it, there's a chance that you can get damaged. And there's a 2 in 10 chance, but you can increase that. So again, 4 in 10. And then most importantly, that third one, the Klingon strength factor. So, play the game a bit. And if the Klingons just don't seem to be that powerful, you can raise this. 1 is the standard of the game. So if you want them twice as powerful, you'd make this 2. And it's a real value. So you can actually put in 1.5. So, they're 50% more. And then ultimately you can adjust your energy level. You can do this during the game too. If you played the game for a long time, you're just about ready to kill everybody on the last sector and you don't have much energy left, you can come over here and cheat, give yourself some energy. But it was really here for those who want to start the game at a lower energy than the 3,000 units that I start you with. So that should help keep the game a lot more interesting. So again, short range scanner, long range scanner. So I think we went over just about everything. Options. For power on this device, if you hit power, it goes into a deep sleep mode. So just a tiny trickle coming out of the battery, screen shut off, everything's shut down. To turn it back on, it's the power button on the top, and it's going to come right back with the status page. And then when you go and you clear that, you're right back to where you were, where you started. You'll periodically get messages from the crew when things are broken, when things are repaired. Navigating to a starbase will give you your torpedo complement back. You'll get 10 torpedoes. You'll get another 500 units of energy. And if you have damage, they'll be able to repair the damage a lot quicker. They do it in about half the time that it would take. Damage is incurred in battle, and it's done in star dates. So if Scotty tells you that the short range scanner is -5, that means it's going to take 5 star dates in order to repair. If you go to a starbase, they'll only charge you 2.5. So you can leave a starbase and be completely back to whole, with no damage, and have all your torpedoes again. The starbase will show up as a B in the short range scanner. Like I said, it'll show up as an inverse field on the galactic chart. And you have to be either north, south, east, or west of the starbase. The diagonals don't count. You actually have to pull into one of the ports of the starbase in order to dock. Once you dock, it'll ask you, it'll automatically give you the energy and the torpedoes, and then ask you if you want to do the repairs. If the repair is on something you don't necessarily need and it's going to take a long time and you've only got a couple days left, you might not want to do it. So it gives you the option to not repair things. And I think that's about it. The only other thing, when you're navigating within a sector, let's say I just want to go down, I've got a base that's down here, maybe 3, and I just want to move 2 dots down. Each one of these dots, remember, a whole sector is 1, but there's 8 positions. So each one of the dots is 0.125 away. So if I want to navigate just within the sector, and let's say you go 180, and I want to go 2 dots, so 2 times the 0.125, that's a quarter, that's 0.25. So I can go 0.25, and you'll see it's just pulled me down 2 dots. So that's how you navigate within the sector. If you're going diagonal into another sector, anytime you go north, south, east, or west, if you just want to move over one sector, you can just warp at speed 1. But if you're going diagonal, you got to remember that's a 45 degree. So 1 kind of sweeps out a circle. If you want to go to the center, you need to add more. So it's about 1.4 units to be able to warp to the same spot on a diagonal sector. So you'll get used to that pretty quick, but it's something to keep in mind as you're traveling, because sometimes I try and think I'm better at estimating I want to go up 2 and over 1, and I wind up in a completely different sector because I miscalculated. But that's part of the fun of the game. So hopefully this gives you a little introduction of how the smart response is used in the game, the differences and the things that I've added to make it interesting. And I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.